So, picture this. You've spent months making a track. You've tracked down the A&R. You've sent the demo. And the classic response that happens quite a lot, not quite right for us at the moment. Trust me, happens to all of us. So this panel is going to get under the hood of what labels are actually looking for right now in 2025. We're going to hear from 5 of the most influential A&Rs right here in house music right now. So we're going to drill them a little bit on where the scene is right now. So let's start with some introductions. We'll start with you, Ben.
Hey guys, I'm Ben Malone. I'm General Manager of Armada Music UK. I'm the A&R behind people like DOD, Ben Hemsley, Tommy Farrow, Kimmick. Some of you guys might know me from Kiss FM UK, where I was for 6 years with Mark before that. But now I'm at Tomorrowland, One World Radio.
Hi guys, I'm Coryn. I'm the A&R at Good Company Records. Previously at Polydor Records, but now gone over to Good Company for 2 years now. We look after artists like Fisher, Rossi, Bontan, Jess Bays, and that kind of genre.
Hey guys, I'm Simon. I'm the label manager A&R at Gorgon City's label Rearm Record. We have the artists of vintage culture, Benki, Mazeka, Yulia Nico. I mean, ton of variety.
Hey guys, I'm Sean, work at Nothing Else Matters, produce Hot Robot Radio with Jamie Jones, look after artists like Bontan, Danny Howard, obviously, and Jamie. Yeah.
I'm and I'm DJ producer. What's this working? Hang on. I'm not very good with a mic. Definitely not an MC. You know what I do. Stuff.
Okay, right, let's dive in. Let's go straight in with a big question. Okay, so when you're signing a new artist or just a track right now in 2025, what's the first thing you're actually looking for? Is it musicality? Is it artist identity? Is it engagement? Is it something else entirely? Who wants to start us off?
Go on, I'll start. I think musical identity, that's key. It's that X factor. That's that thing that jumps out and says, you're different, you're individual, you're special. How do you quantify that? How do you describe that? It's hard. It's just a feeling. It's, I guess, the same feeling you have when you go in a record shop and go, I want to buy that record because it's really good. It really talks to me. So I suppose primarily that's what I'm looking for, something that puts its head above the parapet, that is unique, that's individual, that's in its own lane.
And is that both track and artist, if you're looking to sign an artist as well as just a one-off track?
I don't A&R with my eyes, I A&R with my ears. So I don't care if you're blue, do you know what I mean? Whatever. As you make good records, you're in. And that's how I look at music. I don't look at it from any other perspective, because if the foundation isn't right, everything you're going to put on top is going to be rocky anyway. So let's focus on the music. I guess that's what we're here today to talk about, it, to reinforce the validity and the necessity to get music right.
Is that the same for all of you guys? Is there other things that you think of as well, particularly for your labels?
I think, it always starts with the music, starts with absolutely the track and how it sounds, and if it's a wicked record, a really strong record, and we believe it'll cut through, then we'll sign it. But I think it's also important to look at what lane it works in and who's going to support it and who's going to play it out, what kind of radio shows it will work on, that kind of thing as well, just to know that it's going to have a place to live and we're going to be able to give it the best chance to cut through.
And specifically for your label, for the kind of lane that you're in.
The sonic that works on the label as well, which kind of in this period of time in the industry feels like it's slightly changing and things kind of jump between genres, and you do get a genre mix more now than ever, I feel like. But predominantly if it works on the label, then we'll sign it, it will work.
Same for you guys as well?
Yeah, I think it depends a lot on the label. Like, we're all independent record labels. If it was Sony, Universal and Warner sat here, they'd probably be looking for different metrics, probably more data heavy rather than music passion and that music feeling that Mark mentioned. I think for an A&R, it's really difficult to quantify, but there is a feeling you get when you hear the right record and you're like, that's the one. And I think it's sometimes giving feedback to artists, that's the hardest thing to say, is it's just not giving me that feeling. It's a great record. Objectively, it ticks all the right boxes. It could be played here, it could be played here, but sometimes it's just missing that raw feeling and that emotion and that thing that just goes, oh yeah, that's the one. But from Armada's perspective, it also depends. We have a number of sub-labels as well, so it depends which label the record's going on, what type of track it is, what genre it is, and that all kind of factors into what we're looking for.
So I suppose, yeah, because you're all different labels and you're all kind of looking for different things. So predominantly where you sit, you know, do you look for different things? Are some of you more focused on club weapons? Are some of you more focused on playlist records or things with crossover potential, or all? You know, have things changed recently with that in recent times?
I would say, yeah. I mean, my side, you know, Realm Record is artist-led label by Gorgon City, so it's all about like club record and what sounds good to the guy. You know, they need to try it out. Like every time I receive a demo, I'm like, I'm not signing until you guys try it out, see a reaction, see how it sounds. You know, it can sound really good at 10 a.m. in the morning on a Thursday, you know, but will it sound good at like on the Saturday night in America or something? You know, I think it's important to understand what the crowd likes and what the guys like to play. So for us, it's all about club-focused record. And obviously, if you can have one of them that can cross over like Moppy, Drugs from Amsterdam or something, then you're winning, you know, but that's not the goal when signing a record, you know.
So it's very much about the guys testing records out for a while on their DJ sets.
Yes.
To see what the reaction's like. So you're thinking both club and crossover at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, look, club mainly. If it crossover, great, but that's not where there's tons of record on the label never crossed over, you know. Then you're going to have those one record that, you know, you can see them moving, you can see a reaction, you can see they're properly special. And look, that's great when that happens.
What about you, Sean, with Nothing Else Matters? What are you predominantly looking for?
Predominantly club records, if I'm being completely honest with you. With like, I get set a lot of stuff that's semi-commercial, and I think, oh, like this would be great for Ministry or whoever, but it's not quite right for us. And then we had like great success with the Bontan remix that we did at the start of last year. That got like 10 million streams. It was a real surprise to us all that sort of semi-crossed over, if you will.
So you didn't even see that from the beginning, or didn't sign it with that basis?
No, and it's very rarely the ones you expect, like, because we sort of thought, oh, it's Bontan sounds dead tribally, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it's really like took off, everyone's playing it, and you're like, oh, great, like some really nice surprise. We knew it was a good club record, but we didn't think all of a sudden there'd be TikTok dancers.
Is that often the case? Do a lot of you experience that the ones that do sometimes go are not necessarily the ones you expected?
Absolutely. I think as well, all the greatest club records you ever remember started in the clubs. You know, we have a saying, we can't kid the kidders. You know, if you try and fast track, you try and miss out that bit, that they're the records that never really have any longevity. So all the records that have always been greats in our scene have always languished and lived in the clubs first and then grown from that point on. And they're the special ones. They're the ones that really mean it. They're the ones that touch everyone within the scene. And it's hard to know where they're going to end up. Like when we signed Feel My Needs, in a million years, I didn't think it would be as big as it was. I just didn't. Oh my God. Sorry, Sean. I never thought it would go on to be the record it was. We just thought, that's a great club record. And you've always got to start there. You know, it's very dangerous and rocky ground when you try to put out records that haven't got a built-in audience, an audience with legitimacy. Do you know what I mean? Then it becomes pop. Then it's a different thing. We don't do pop. We do dance music. So let's start with our core audience, people that go to nightclubs and DJs, and let it grow and evolve and build from there. Because then you've ticked every box. The foundation is solid for the future of that record.
So as a platform, let's think about that, because a lot of us are talking, you know, streaming versus downloads. Do you guys still use things like Beatport? Is that the barometer for a lot of you guys with your club records?
Not for us. I'm joking.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I think Beatport's a great indicator of whether a track is connecting with DJs. You know, beyond that, it's not the only kind of way we can assess whether a track is working in a club.
Does it come into your mind when you're signing a record that you think this is going to work well on that as a platform or any platform?
So we sign records that we think will work strategically in different areas, because not a track that works well on Beatport won't necessarily work on streaming. And I think Beatport's actually probably one of the easier platforms to say that's a Beatport record.
Is that, Ben? Sorry, because you're dealing with humans. You know, it's how do you pitch a record or sign a record for an algorithm that isn't a thing, that is evolving and changing? How do you, as an A&R, go, okay, I guess this is going to work with this algorithm? You know, I'm really not a fan of this whole thing. You know, I'm about human interaction and human feedback. And Beatport for me is the ultimate barometer of that, because we are selling to DJs, we're selling to selectors, people that are genuinely invested in music, not a thing that doesn't exist. You know, it's like, that's surely the yardstick. If it works there and people are accepting that there are peers, that are people that are genuinely putting something back into the scene and it gets reception there and success there, that surely should be the thing we start with first. And then fuck knows what the algorithm's going to do, because that changes every week and it isn't necessarily based on music. So, you know, is it dangerous to start skipping that out as part of the process?
No, 100%. I just think that certain records, you know from the outset, this is one that will work in a club, this is one that I know DJs will like. And ultimately, if a record is a Beatport number one, what that means is the record is being hammered in clubs up and down the country, live streams up and down the country. So it's going to have some pretty high levels of awareness, which then translate, if the record sticks with listeners, then that's going to translate onto other platforms as well. So definitely Beatport has a big place, a big role to play, especially on club-focused music.
Okay, and then if we come back before something like Beatport, what about if you see a record that's starting to blow up for another way? Would you look at data? Would you look at numbers? Like if you actually see a track, for instance, blowing up on Shazam or on TikTok, are you looking at that? Do you look at things that early that might be organic even from an artist? I mean, if we go back, you know, there's tracks in the past that have blown up just from like Marco Corolla video playing it in Ibiza, and suddenly that goes viral and labels were bidding for it before that anything's actually happened. Is that something still relevant now?
We look a lot at what other DJs are playing and what support stuff is getting pre-released. That is a big metric for us. We're not massively in the TikTok game. My kind of opinion on TikTok is if something is going to be a TikTok hit, then the major labels will be right in there for that from the start, and it's probably not something we're going to want to do. I also don't really think that TikTok hits work as a business model for record labels, just because you end up paying a lot of money for them and there's never a follow-up. We're much more into artist development over a long-term basis. We, as a label this year and kind of from the end of last year, we're now really signing artists on a longer-term basis rather than individual tracks. And that kind of doesn't connect on a TikTok level. But in terms of DJ support, in terms of SoundCloud, that's still an interesting metric for us on a data level, just because that shows core. And SoundCloud and Bandcamp as well, these platforms have very kind of grassroots dance music fan engaged users. So we can really see, is it connecting with the audiences that we ultimately want to hit?
So would you sign something that's had a lot of plays and a lot of attention on something like SoundCloud?
Yeah. I'm happily signed something on SoundCloud that's been up there. I signed something a couple of months ago that had about 2 million plays on SoundCloud. Off the back of, we knew the artist had an engaged fan base, and we knew there was demand for this record, and it was a great record as well. But I think to have 2 million plays on SoundCloud, you have to be a great record. But that it hadn't been officially released because there was a sample, so we had to go through that process.
Okay.
And SoundCloud is obviously a little bit more free to try stuff, bootlegs and stuff, prior to the clearance process.
Okay. What about you guys? Have you ever used something like Shazam, TikTok, SoundCloud as well when signing?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's very important to be, even if you, like Ben said, can't necessarily get in the game because the majors are the people that will get the really hot records that are moving. It's important to be across what's happening and what is moving and who are the people that are kind of making the impacts in the viral charts and that kind of thing. But also because then, similarly, you can build a relationship and you can reach out to the artist and say, great that, you know, you've got this viral track, that's amazing, but what else are you working on? What's your sound? Where are you playing out? Who are you working with? Anyone exciting? What's going on with you? And just find out a little bit more about them in terms of longevity and in terms of them as an artist project. And even if you can't get on that record, you can build more of a long-standing relationship with them, and you never know further down the line what other tunes will come from them as well. So yes, definitely keeping an eye on things. And if we can get in the game with stuff, wicked. We signed an artist called Levi last year who had a viral TikTok hit with, it's like an Afro House version of Rihanna's version of Genuine Pony, Jump. And that's done really, really well for us. So kind of we can still get in the game, but we don't.
So that had blown up, kind of gone viral first?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we were really, really lucky on that one. It's done really well for us. But yeah, it's more just being across things and being aware and staying aware of things.
Okay. Let's talk musical trends as well, because I know, labels, you've kind of all got your own sounds and stuff, but like, do you see things changing at the moment in this year? Is it going to affect you guys and your decisions at your labels? Like, what trends do you see taking off now this year, like really coming through?
I mean, personally, I think there's so much new music coming. I mean, garage. I never believed garage would break like this in America. Right now, you're seeing some of the Sammy Vergi selling like 6,000 tickets in America. Couldn't believe that. Interplanetary Criminal selling ticket there. Then you have the trance, the fast-paced music. Obviously, with like Malone, Kiki, like really, really rising. Then now it's the best time, like just talking, about like minimal. I think it's. I've never believed like a Josh Baker or even like a Maxine will be in the top 30 like proper OCC chart. We're not talking about commercial music. We're talking quite still like there's a hook and stuff, but it's still like quite minimal. And you know what? I think it's such a good thing because it shows that I would say in some way like underground music can become like more appealing, more commercial. There is like as well like more revenue, and it's amazing because it's moving forward. We're not staying in the tech house for the next 20 years. There's always new type of music and stuff. But it doesn't like affect personally like in terms of like the label and stuff. It's all about what the guys will play, what will resonate. And we sign so many different genres across the label. It's basically what works in club.
Yeah. Okay. Great answer. What about yourself? Have you seen any trends, or does nothing else matter? Stay very much just one sort of vibe.
One of the biggest trends that I've seen in sort of the last year, like especially up north, is XXL. I don't know if you've heard of this brand. It's like a really hard techno brand. It's 160 BPM, and like they've done it sort of from. Breathe.
Heart palpitation for a minute there. Sorry.
We'll get there.
and it's kind of come out of nowhere, and it's everyone by surprise. They're doing their own little events and stuff like that, and it's kids love it.
Yeah.
But good God, like 160 BPM is a bit. Yeah. I'm with Mark. It doesn't need to be faster than 124.
Absolutely. It's the right answer.
Gold star.
Do you think that's going to like keep growing? Do you think that will connect more across the whole country and beyond as well?
Probably. Like the further north you go, it tends to be the music gets harder, doesn't it? That's
it's kind of always been that way, hasn't it?
Scotland loves it, don't we? You know what I mean? It's always.
Definitely, but then it can kind of come further south
as
well. And I think, the last couple of years we've seen music down here in London get faster and faster. House music's got faster, 2 or 3 BPM quicker. It's not uncommon to see a 126, 128 house record now, whereas it was 122, 124 for a long time. And I think that's influenced by the harder and faster sounds, the donkey stuff coming out of Scotland, Newcastle, whatever.
Yeah. There's such a hard house revival.
Hard house.
We're seeing that massively in the academy as well, and referring back to the labels of like Tidy Tracks and Nucleus and stuff from the late 90s. And the younger generation are finding that again. It's totally fresh to them.
And I think that's been a lot down to artists like Kiki, Marlon, kind of playing these 90s records in their sets, and because it's all streamed now, or Boiler Room, or something else, a whole new demographic, a whole new audience is experiencing these tracks for the first time.
Totally. It's quite interesting. One of our tutors, BK, who kind of evolved to Tough London, a Tech House act, is now taken back off as his name BK, where everyone started playing his tracks again, and now his diary's packed again. So it's mad to see. So you won't be signing any hard house anytime
Not
soon?
today. No, not today. I think I'll leave that today. I think with trends, trends are great, and it's great that certain genres get their moment in the spotlight, and deservedly so, but I think the most important thing is to set your own trend. You'll never catch up with trends. You'll always be just behind it. I think what's more important is to do your own thing, stay in your own lane, and be very good at being you. Miles Davis once said that it takes a long time to be good at becoming you, and I think that's true, and I think that's what is really important. As a brand, it's important to know who you are and what you stand for, and just be the best version of that. Of course, things evolve. You can't do the same record for 20 odd years. You evolve, but I think the key is to set your own trend. Don't worry about what's going on. I don't look at what else is going on. I look at what we can do, and how can we better what we do in our part of the electronic sphere.
Because I think someone said to me, it's like when someone that's sort of as an artist and you notice a trend taking off, if you jump on it, you're already too late. Because by the time you actually get there and start to break through, that trend's already already sort of up there in a sense.
And if you look at the greatest artists, they've often created trends. They've set the trend. They've set things in motion. They've done something different that's become then and then been respected. And then there's been a whole load of copycats that come after them. But really, if you want to, be a distinctive artist, you need to have some individuality, and that probably means you might be starting a trend.
Yeah, and trends always come back round as well.
Yeah.
We've got quite a lot of artists on, because we have 2 labels. We've got Good Company, which is more of the underground, housey club stuff. And then we have Get Together, which is your more radio-friendly, pop dance, crossover stuff. And we have a lot of artists from the more radio-friendly commercial side who have been sending demos that are houseier and don't feel like them. It feels like they are trying to chase that more minimal underground feel, the cooler feel, you could say. And we've been saying to them, why are you doing that? Because it's not you, and it doesn't sound like you, and it doesn't sound as authentic and as good. We have artists called That Kind who make amazing kind of pop dance, very commercial, very piano-led house music. He's an incredible producer. And that's what works for him. And he's really, really good at that side of things. And you can tell when you hear the music that he loves it. And we've been saying, just stick to that, because piano house will come round again, and it kind of is starting to come round again.
Definitely.
The commercial side of things will take over again. Just stick with that.
Yeah.
And when it does come back round, you'll be first in the game.
It's hard for creatives, isn't it? A lot of creative people are like magpies, and you see something new and shiny, and it's like, it seems exciting to jump on it, but I think you've got to be careful of that.
Do you know what trend will never go away and always be at the forefront is good music, right?
Yeah.
That's the best trend. And that's the trend that's always in vogue. So if you do what you do really well, it will be at the front of the queue. Otherwise, you're just copying, as Ben said, you're copying someone else. That trend never dies. That trend's always in vogue. So concentrate on that. That's, as aspiring producers and DJs, that's the trend you want to focus on, what you're doing. Who gives a shit what anyone else is doing? Just concentrate on what you're doing and become good at that. And then you've got your own trend, right?
Yeah. Wise, serious words. Love that. There's some T-shirt quotes in there, 100%. So let's talk about like A&R teams. How do people get hold of you? Each of you are going to give away your email address. No, I'm joking.
Definitely not on WhatsApp. You won't give me up that. There you go.
You don't use WhatsApp,
correct?
He's old school. So what's the best way for a new artist to build a relationship with your A&R team? And I'm not saying you've got to give away contact details, but advice beyond just sending cold demos, because every label does it differently. They have info, demo at email addresses, or sites like Label Radar, Trackstat. What's a good way that you think, and you've seen yourselves with artists, that they've built a relationship?
Do you mind if I jump in? Look, I've said this on previous... Oh, my mic's coming in. Sorry. I've said this on previous talks. The best way to get our attention is create your own momentum, create your own hype. Because the reality is, us guys, we get thousands of demos and there aren't enough hours. To be brutally honest, this cut to the chase, right? Uploading and crossing your fingers is probably not going to win. It's probably not going to be a thing, right? We've all got portals that do that, and we do our very best to get round to that music. But the very best way to get our attention is create your own hype, create your own momentum, because then, you know what? We're chasing you, not the other way around. And then you are on the front foot in terms of negotiation and what you want to do, because we're coming to you. So build your own momentum, get your own, start with smaller labels where you can get visibility, You don't start playing for Liverpool straight away, right? Start building your own. Sorry, George, that's our one football analogy in there. So start building your own momentum through things that you can easily control. Start your own label, build your own fan base, get some heat on you, become very good at what you do and do that consistently over and over and again. Because we'll come and find you. That's our job. Our job is to find you. Our job isn't to endlessly listen to demos. It's to find what's hot, what's popping off, what's the new thing, who's the new cat. And that's how you do it. Uploading a track to a portal and crossing your fingers, you might as well do the lottery, because it's probably got about the same amount of odds. So if I was to start again, that's how I would do. If I had aspirations of being on all these great labels, I'd do my own thing first, get my own heat going first, and then see what happens.
What about you guys? Similar thing? Do you guys do specific things with your labels to encourage new artists?
Personally, it depends. You can submit your track to Trackstack and something like that, and we'll go over it. But look, sometimes an email, I don't mind like a good email written, but you need to tell a story. If it's an email with just a SoundCloud demo, I will not listen to it. Like it's clearly for me because I'm like, you didn't take the time. I'd rather have an email. Like we've had those artists, the American artists called Eels. They basically start sending us email being like, hey, here's our demo. We've released that. We got on Beatport like top 200. Every week they send us email, but not like email like hammering us, more like email updating us about how they're doing. And step by step, they got our attention, you know, and they'd be like, we're rising there, we're releasing on Fisher's label, we're releasing on that, we're releasing on that. And they start sending a demo that we sent to Gorgon, and it actually worked. They loved it.
You don't mind the persistence, you know?
Just persistence, but like in a nice way. If you start sending a lengthy email too long, I think it's like, you want to send straight to the point, bullet point. This is who I am. This is my achievement so far. This is the type of music I'm doing. This is the demo link, you know what I mean? Listen to it. If you can say, hey, it's been supported by, send me the video, because you can be like, Marco Corla played it. I'm like, where's the video? You know what I mean? Like, I need to see a proven video, even if you post it on social and stuff, at least. Because when I'm going to go to Gorgon City and something, I'm going to be like, hey, this record feels really good. This is the video. It happened with a record from Jay Pryor. Just like Dom Dola and Scream played it in Miami. Send me the video. I was like, this feels big. I sent it to Gorgon. Gorgon's like, we're going to try it at EDC. Played EDC main stage. Biggest reaction. They'd be like, we need to sign that immediately. And just that video sold it for me. So for me, it's all the presentation, all the network you do, all the like presentation is so important. Like literally, if you send like just a demo, you need to show your story, you know, and like really show your story too.
Do any of you guys like or dislike being approached on social media?
No, I think social media is a great way to kind of hear about and see records. But again, you know, the proof is in the pudding, a little bit like what Simon mentioned. If there is hype on a record, if people are supporting it, and you can do that yourself, right, by just DMing it to DJs and artists. And I think that's a good way you can track us down on LinkedIn or Instagram. You can find us all out there. So yeah, and I agree with the persistence thing. You might need to be a bit persistent purely because we have literally hundreds, thousands of demos coming in on a regular basis. And it's not that we don't want to listen to your demo. It's just that, you know, there's a lot of competition out there. And I think just to touch on Mark's point as well, that's kind of the reality right now. Technology and amazing things like this, Toolroom Academy has made the industry, has been amazing. It's made dance music accessible to so many more people, which is fantastic. It's also put more competition in the market than there's ever been before. You guys are fighting against more artists for your signing on a label than there's ever been, which is really, really tough to get your tracks signed. So if you can create your own hype, and whether that's through throwing your own parties or getting stuff moving on SoundCloud or starting your own label, building your super fans, your core fan base, that can really drive things forward for you. And ultimately, as Mark said, the goal is for us to be chasing you rather than you chasing us.
Could you guys give an example of like a recent artist that you've signed as well, and like how that came about? Was it from like an email, a personal encounter?
Yeah, we've just taken on someone long term, kind of signed them officially to the label for a matter of years. It's more of like a time-based deal. We initially did a single with him a couple of years ago because the demo came through. I know the manager. It was a wicked song. What caught our attention was he's an amazing producer. But the song on it, the top line, was so catchy, so emotional. That thing you mentioned earlier about it just hitting and feeling like this works. So we signed that record and it did really well. A bit of a slow burner, but it's doing really, really well now. And
sorry, was it an artist that was already on your radar?
No, not initially. So it came through as a manager introduced me to the artist and we heard the demo and it just worked. And he was still growing and still quite early days. Yeah. But we've just taken him on long term. And the reason that it feels like it's going to work is because, similar to what these guys have been saying, there's a lane there that no one else is in right now. And it feels like he really believes in his own brand. He really believes in wanting to do something different. The music needs work. It's not perfect yet, but that's what we're excited about, to sit with it and find that particular bit that's him. It's in a very similar lane to kind of early Gorgon City, Cream, kind of the heavier stuff. Yeah. But there's kind of a UK twist to it, and also this really kind of distinctive sound that he has that's very emotional. And we're really excited about the music and to sit and actually make something of it and to make this new lane for him and have that opportunity. So that feels like a recent signing that stands out as being a reason why we're really excited to work on something.
And just quickly, the long-term deal, did that come off the back of the success of the first single, or more that you just felt that connection and wanted to work with them long-term?
Yeah, it feels like because we are building something and there is an opportunity to build an artist and to build his brand and help him with kind of that side of things as well. It felt like it made sense to do long term because you have the time to put the effort into the music and to build from, we'll have maybe 10 tracks in the next couple of months that he's working on. Which one comes after which? How do we make this work? How do we build it into something? Who's going to support it? Who's he going to be playing out with and that kind of thing as well. So long term definitely made sense to give the music the opportunity to grow and to get out there.
Awesome. Anyone else have another example?
I remember when we signed Adrian Hour. He put out a couple of records on tiny labels. So I can get the hang of this in a minute. He put some records out, Shoot to Thrill, and a bunch of other records like that. I was like, who is this cat? This guy is bad. So just got hold of him, found him on social media. I'm like, mate, can you make us another one of these? And then the rest is history, But again, it's that thing of building your own audience, starting small, but getting visibility straight away. It's better to get out there, get your music heard. And if you're a DJ or you're passionate about this thing, my job is to, not only is it A&R, it's a DJ. So I'm constantly looking for music. And the records that flatter me in my sets, you know what, I'm going to go and get more of them. So if you can build that a little bit of initial momentum, that's exactly what Adrian did. He did 2 or 3 records, and I found him, and then we signed him, Pete managed him, and he had a fantastic career. So, you don't always have to start at the very top. It doesn't always have to be that way. Earn your stripes, get a rep, and then we'll come and find you. But he was very much an example of exactly that process.
Can we talk a bit about brand as well? Because that word's been mentioned a couple of times of something you've liked. How much do you care about that? Like the artist's brand or even their vision when you're signing music? Like, can you sign a great record if you go, do you know what, they've hardly got any presence online or don't even feel like they have a brand?
So I think there's been confusion over the last few years between social media and brand. And I think for us, particularly at the moment, they're 2 very different things. The word DJ or producer is generally replaced with artist now, right? An artist is not just a producer or a songwriter or a DJ. An artist does require some kind of all-encompassing artistic prospect. You don't have pop stars who sit in their basement and don't have any presence on stage. An artist is more than just a producer, and I think that's something to consider. So brand, the whole visual concept is, and sort of an identity is important, and how you communicate that has changed over the recent years. That's often through social media now, but it's very much not only through that. It can be in your artworks or your kind of the way you present yourself when you perform. Certain DJs have a real flair. Some DJs go for distinctive things. Kolsch has his hat, whatever. Yeah. There is a brand there, right? That's a brand. It's unmistakably a brand that is beyond just the music.
Do you go and look at that? I mean, everyone just does from a nosy point of view, right? If you find a record and go, who are they? I don't know who they are. Are you looking at that brand, that vision and going, does that feel like us? Does that align with us? Or is it more just, does that brand excite me,
For me, it's about how is this brand going to tour? How is this artist going to tour? Because touring and releasing records are so synonymous now. They rely on each other. As a DJ, you often need to have your own records or records that are distinctive to you. From the record label side, we want to have your records played out to audiences because they'll connect with them and hopefully consume them. So it's not like there is no look that we're going for, or there's not specific guidelines on what your brand should be, but having an identity that can translate into the commercial performance of your music, largely based on, I think, touring, is important for us.
Is it the same for you guys as well?
Yeah, I think definitely. And also seeing that an artist really believes in themselves and backs themselves and has that idea there as well. Because when we do sign an artist and they are on the label, it's not just the label that does the work. The artist does the work too. And they have to come with the ideas. We'll come with the ideas, but we have to share. It has to be a reciprocal relationship, and that's how it works best. And we've found that through the artists that we have signed. So knowing that this artist knows where they sit, who they want to be, or maybe they don't necessarily know that yet. They have a vague idea of who they are as an artist in the landscape of it at the moment, and just trusting that they will follow that and that they know where they want to go, and you can help them with that. That's always reassuring, definitely.
Yeah, just to jump in on that. That brand doesn't have to be perfect at the time we sign a record. If the records are strong enough and we sign an artist on a longer term deal, that's something we do a lot of work on, helping to kind of bring that brand out. But yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I'm going to slightly buck that trend and say, I come from the old school. It's a bit like going in a record shop and saying, just before I buy that record, can I just check the brand of this guy before? I love it, but I just want to check his brand before I buy it. Look, I think that's important. That is important. And as things evolve as an artist, that is a necessity in this day and age. But let's not lose focus of the primary thing, and that's music. I'll give you an example. Rich Vice, I love him to bits. I genuinely love him. He's a great guy, but he has all the charisma of a stone. But that didn't make his record not fly, right? Because it was a great record, you know? So, yes, I think if you're looking for longer development, that is important, that's integral. Crucial, I'll give you an example. He ticks every box. There's not a box he doesn't tick. Primarily, he's super talented, super talented. One of the most talented artists I've met in my entire journey within A&R. He's a good-looking lad. He's professional. He's on it. He's a brilliant DJ. He ticks all the boxes. But I didn't look at that before I signed his first record. I actually didn't care. I was like, luckily, I found out, my God, this kid's got the lot. Brilliant. We've hit the jackpot here. But it wasn't the thing. It wasn't my initial focus, you know. In the same way as when I went into a record shop just before I bought a record, I didn't check the fucking brand. I just liked the record. So, yes, I think you need to be conscious of that. But I think before you put your focus into that, now the music.
So ultimately, you're all saying that you're still going to sign records without necessarily people having a really super strong sort of brand or artistic vision. You're there to help and guide them with that as well.
Yeah, of course, because if a record's that undeniable, you're going to fucking want it, aren't you? Basically, we'll all have a fight over it. It's all of us out here. And then you can figure the brand stuff out later, get him a nice T-shirt or whatever, you know what I mean? Black hat,
sign the record,
black T-shirt,
get the
and a hat, you're
T-shirt.
sorted.
Yeah.
But it is, like Mark said, he's probably not too far in age, I don't think. And we used to go and buy white labels, and you didn't know who they were fucking buy, did you? It's just, you just listen to it, and that's weirdly sort of the same way A&R is. I will be that lunatic who sits in my email box and just goes through them and think, would I play this in a DJ? Would this rock the club, kind of thing? And that's, going back to what Mark said, it's about the music, first and foremost. Everything else, you can figure that out.
You can't have a brand and no music. That doesn't do anything. So it does start with the music.
I mean, it resonated on the first panel there, talking in a similar way as well. Of and people like Alex was saying, don't let yourselves get too beat up on the social media side and the brand side. Music first, right? Okay, one final question before we wrap up. So producers, can you give advice to people who sort of, they think they're ready, they're sending lots of music out, they're maybe not getting responses, or they are getting responses? And a lot of them responses are, it's not quite right for us. How would you say, is there something they need to do to reset, to rethink about things? How do they move forward from there? Because I think that happens to a lot of us.
On my end, keep sending demo, keep presenting yourself, keep updating us with your news. And it's not because we said no many times, and we ended up signing demos that did really well. I mean, you give examples like Calvin Harris in his early days, and 100 of demo to Defected, then never got signed. You know what I mean? And still today, like a legend. You know what I mean? So I don't think you should take no personally. There's so many other labels out there. You'll find your lane. Literally, there's keep sending. You have all the time in front of you. Just keep your production better and stuff. And please ask me, okay, if it's a pass, why is it and stuff. And if the A&R has time to answer, great. If not, send another demo, send something stronger.
Because I think you don't get that much replies from A&Rs. You're all really busy, and I know what it's like. So it's quite hard to get that information from them, isn't it? Of why is it wrong?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll always try and give some feedback, some constructive feedback when going back on a demo. And I always also say, there's nothing wrong with it. we're not signing it because we're not signing it because there's something wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't fit right now for various reasons, or maybe you could tweak this or that. But like you said, it's a case of just keep sending things, just keep believing in yourself, just keep being like, well, the next one might work, the next one might work.
Never give up.
Because it probably will.
Yeah, and they say it takes 10 years to make an overnight success, right? So it's a long game, not a quick win. And anyone who does blow up out of nowhere probably won't follow it up with a long-standing career. So, it is about putting in the miles, and you will get the rewards of that. But I also think there is a home for your music. You might need to change where you think that is, but there are DJs out there playing what you're producing, 100%. There are thousands of DJs around the world, and find a home for it. And, as we talked about earlier, create your own hype, and maybe that's by getting some of these DJs playing your records, and then you build your world around that. But find the home for your records, and it might not necessarily be the home you ideally want yet, or it might not be the home that you thought it was. But there is a home for the music you're making, provided that you've put the work in and it's the quality is there, which I'm sure for many of you guys it is.
And I think you've got two options, right? If you believe in yourself, what you are doing is a business, right? You're an artist, but you're also a business. It's called the music business, right? It's not just called music, it's called the music business, and you're entering the music business. You believe in yourself, you want to back yourself, right? You've mailed your record out to loads of people, no response, no joy, nil point, right? You've got another option. Back yourself. Set your own record label. If you believe in yourself, get your balls out and back yourself, right? That's what we did as Toolroom, and that's what I did as an artist. I'm like, do you know what? I've sent my record to loads of people, and I'm not getting the results that I'm looking for. It's not happening. It doesn't meet my expectation or my ambitions. So you know what? I'm going to back myself, because I believe in myself, right? I'm going to do it like it was any other business. If we were starting a jean company, we'd have to back that as a business. This is a business you're going into now. So perhaps you go start your own record label, get a partner. So I tell you what, I'll do the music, you do the business, and as a team, we're going to be really good. And then we've got a home for our music. We're not putting the future, the destiny, into someone else's hands. You're taking control of that. It's on you now. It's on your head. How far can you take it? Because there's 1,000 million producers going out looking for that one, looking to try and hit the bullseye. We're all going for the same spot. Well, do you know what? Have your own bullseye. Own that yourself. That is the other option. You don't always have to go down the label route, and perhaps you get to a point and you get that visibility, what you're looking for. You're in the game, right? You're releasing records on your own terms. Therefore, you can set your own release schedule. You can do one a month because it's down to you. It's on you now. You've got label works. Get a distribution deal. Come up with a brand. And then it's on your own terms. Get a bit of visibility. And then perhaps all the bigger labels come after you again. But it doesn't solely rely on uploading it sent to labels, and that's the future of your career. It really isn't. If you genuinely believe in yourself, you have to look at this not only from an artistic point of view, but from a business point of view to say, do you know what? I am really good and I believe in myself, and that's where I want to go. And back yourself. Go down that route if you're not getting anywhere with labels.
Love that. What an inspirational finish. Can we have a round of applause for our panelists, guys?